before the President, Mr. Albertski, as we are gathered here today to have an opportunity to address one of the issues that has been confronting us for some time. We'll be addressing it pretty shortly. But before we invite him to take the podium, let me take this opportunity to invite Mr. Kofi Yeboah to give us a contextual analysis.
Checkpoint at Naro in the Nadoli Kalu district for routine check of Ghana card of all passengers. The passengers, including Swala, disembarked from the vehicle. They then requested to use a kettle, which in our local language called buta, belonging to the immigration officers to perform ablution in the makeshift roofing sheet structure believed to be a urinal. But the immigration officers declined his request, so he returned the kettle, that's the buta, and decided to go into the bush to urinate. On this way, one of the officers instructed him to cross to the other side of the road to urinate. Swallow did not find any justification in risking his life to cross a highway just to urinate when it was safe to do so in the bush on the side of the road where he was. The immigration officer, out of anger, shouted, "I am asking you to cross the road to urinate, and you are challenging me." He then cocked his gun and threatened, "If you are a man, go and urinate." Swala, together with the other passengers, quickly moved away from the scene and further into the bush to urinate. When Swala returned, the immigration officer again threatened to blow off his head for challenging him. In the course of the event, another immigration officer, whose name tag is given as Enim Ajepong, who was wearing the rank of Assistant Superintendent of Immigration, ASI, and believed to be the senior-most officer among them, suddenly rushed over and threatened to arrest and lock up Swala. Subsequently, he rushed into his office and returned with a sidearm pistol, threatening to shoot the journalist for being too knowing amidst insults. He later put the pistol on a chair and wanted to attack our colleague Swala physically, but was restrained by some passengers and his colleagues. When calm was restored, one of the immigration officers asked Swala to go and apologize to the senior immigration officer. But the passengers disagreed, contending that they, passengers, were rather the victims of abuse from the officers. When the immigration officers realized that all the passengers were resolved not to offer any apology, they refused to open the barrier and unduly delayed the vehicle for some time as punishment before allowing them to pass. We called on the Interior Minister, Honorable Abus Derry, to act swiftly on this matter relating to attacks of Swala Abdulwahab by senior immigration officers. We expect him to act swiftly, just as he did in his reaction to the IDP's dictate. We see the men in uniform as partners in development in ensuring that good governance and rule of law are upheld. They must be seen to be protecting journalists rather than attacking them. As enforcers of the law, they must know better. Therefore, we take their actions against journalists as deliberate attempts to gag journalists. The GJA finds the conduct of the immigration officers to be highly unprofessional and gross misconduct, which warrants severe sanctions. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, it is important to know that as part of our action plans, the GJA has already petitioned the Controller General of Ghana Immigration Service, Lawyer Techi Isuyan, and copied the Interior Minister to investigate the incident and sanction the officers involved when necessary to serve as deterrent to others. Colleagues, the region where some miners were trapped in the mining pit. In the aftermath of that disaster, the Ashanti Regional Correspondent of GTV, Nicholas Osewusu, was attacked by some soldiers, while covering the incident. The only offense he committed was videoing a warming shooting spree being carried out by the soldiers to disperse a mob on the premises of the Obuasi Central Police Station. According to Nicholas, he ordered some of his men to confiscate his official working gadgets and asked them to delete the videos as well. That was on the order of the leader of these armed officers. Well, when he was not sure of what they had done to retrieve the content from the phone used to capture the unfolding event, the military man personally seized it, went through it, and deleted every video the journalists had taken. To be certain that no traces of the video were left, he went into the recycle bin on the phone and deleted everything there before handing the gadget back to him. Sincerely, there was no act of provocation or resistance from the journalist, as we have been told and as established by our investigations. The military man would not even tolerate the identity of the journalist as coming from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and went further to make some scornful comments that he is coming from GBC and so what? You are coming from GBC and so what? Before snatching the phone. And this is the state broadcaster, public service broadcaster we are talking about here. This act by the military against a journalist who was carrying his constitutional mandated duty can pass for terrorism against the journalist and terrorism and against the journalist and journalism in this country. And I take that paragraph again. This act by the military against a journalist who was carrying his constitutional mandated duty can pass for terrorism against the journalist and journalism in this country. Again, let me emphasize that the GJA has petitioned the military hierarchy, and we are waiting for an urgent response. Our demands include investigating the matter thoroughly and sanctioning the culprit appropriately. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, a few weeks ago in Ashama, Angel FM's Tema regional correspondent, Augustine Anyabo, was assaulted with his phone smashed by residents of Ashaman, Lebanon Zone 2, just for taking picture of a toilet facility in a compound that had collapsed on people. The matter is currently in court, and so we are keenly monitoring the outcome. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the violations that have been recorded in Ghana over the past year, in our view, give cause for pessimism regarding the country's performance in the next ranking of global media freedom. It is obvious that our press freedom environment is deteriorating seriously, and it is our view, therefore, that efforts to bring a positive change should begin from authorities in sanctioning people who commit atrocities against journalists and media practitioners. While at it, we also call on government to adequately resource the National Media Commission to effectively carry out its mandate of monitoring and regulating media content in a proactive manner. This will help empower people to bring issues of professional misconduct and ethical breaches to them for redress. The GJA continues to commit itself to promoting professional standards in the media and will urge all journalists and media houses to continue to uphold Article 8 of the GJA Code of Conduct and Ethics to guarantee the highest level of integrity and professionalism that we can all be proud of. We will not hesitate to call out any journalist or media organization that indulges in flagrant violation of the professional ethics and standards. This is in view of the recognition that press freedom, as contained in Article 162 of the Constitution of Ghana, 1992, and indeed in all other forms of freedom, as in Article 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of the Constitution, go with responsibility and duty to respect public sensibilities, human dignity, and public interest must at all times be observed. As I bring my remarks to a close,